So we think that this distance is much longer for several reasons. You know, there's no undersea cables here. There's no cruises that go direct. There's no, the Vendée Globe race where they go around Antarctica is ridiculous when you find out how fast they're going. The top speed in 24 hours of a boat is 200 miles per hour more in the north than in the south, which makes zero sense on a globe. There's no reason why a boat would be able to go 200 miles more in a day than a boat in the south, unless the south is bigger than we're taught. So if I go QFA, there we go. Good. I'm glad this saves my searches. So QF27 is the Qantas, flight that goes Sydney to Santiago. Okay. So we're going to bring that up real quick. We're going to look and see that it does about 12 and a half hours each time it goes. We're going to hit play on this one. Okay. So this is going this way. You'll see it breaks off of coverage, doesn't get coverage where it's like blacked out. And we used to be able to see these numbers here. We can't see them anymore. Okay. So we can't get our GPS altitude or our true airspeed. Even if you buy a package, which is supposed to unlock all these, it won't unlock for the southern flights. We've tried it. Bob paid for it. Didn't work. Okay. So once you see that this plane gets up to speed, it's going about, here we go, 641. You know, so it's averaging maybe 600 through the trip. About 600. Okay. And it goes 7,000 miles in 12 and a half hours. So if we bring up the calculator on that, let's just look at what that means. So if it's going 7,000 miles divided by 12.5 hours, we get 560. Okay. So that plane has to go 560 to make that trip. Now, here's the problem with that is we've all shown before, and people will all admit this. I don't know who's arguing with this. If you go to Bob Wins, which is the AE map, which you can get your wind on. Now, we're only told a very, very small section of it, but let's go there. Let's go to 250, which is about 30,000 or like 26,000 feet. And you'll notice we get these crazy whipping winds. They go from, can't see where the continents are. Okay, so this is Australia here. So you can see that this plane could just get in these wind and get right to here. Now, how fast are these winds going? Okay, that's 152 miles per hour right there. Now, these could be going faster higher up. In fact, if we go, sometimes we can go right here. We can actually take it up. 70 HPA, though, is like 45,000 feet. So it actually gets above where we think most planes are flying. But in here, you can get, here's 127, 114. And again, how do we know these are true? We don't know. Pretty positive that there's winds in the south that move around. And again, if it's a globe, what is going on here? Why would there be ripping winds like crazy outside here in the south, but nothing in the north? It doesn't even make sense, and this is why they got rid of this map. If you don't know, this used to be on a website called earth.newellschool, and they got rid of it because too many people were seeing that everything jives on this flat earth map, and doesn't make a lot of sense if we instead look at the globe, then it just gets all really ugly real globe. Okay, this makes no sense to anybody. Why would you have no winds here, nothing even blowing at all, but then down here you have these ripping winds going around Antarctica? Doesn't make any sense. It does make sense when you look at the flat earth. So here's 250. Look at this on a globe. Pretty funny. Does those winds look like they make sense to you? Or let's change it to the azimuthal equidistant, and all of a sudden they make a little bit more sense. They're all going in one direction, and you've got the sun and moon that travel in here. Okay? So it makes a lot more sense. Anyway, here's the problem. If these things are moving fast, like 174, here's what you have to believe. Let's go back here. We just did the math on this, and we figured out that that plane needs to go 560 to do that distance in that time, 7,000 miles in 12 and a half hours. Well, here's the problem with that. We just found out that there is 150 mile per hour winds, and that supposedly that goes up to like 250 or 300. But let's just take the 150, for example. If it's going 150 miles per hour, it's getting helped, then that plane is actually going 560 minus 150 or 410. Now you tell me, because everybody who thinks this is a globe proof, it's actually a globe killer. There is no plane for no reason flying 410 miles per hour and just like, yeah, we'll take the extra 150. We're just going to go 550 and just cruise. No, you're not. Any plane is going to take advantage of the winds, meaning that if it's actually going, it actually should be going 560 plus 150. So it should be doing 710. Now, again, a lot of people will get real upset and they'll be, but that's faster than the speed of sound. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. A plane can go faster than the speed of sound. Nobody in the cockpit would hear it. Nobody in the plane would know it. Nobody would even know. Okay. Now, I almost missed the point there. Also, when you have tailwind, you're not breaking the sound. The wind is taking the entire plane. Remember, breaking the speed of sound means the plane has to be going through the air faster than whatever it is, 670 miles per hour or whatever. But if there's wind carrying the plane, then the plane is not breaking the speed of sound. And we can actually look up at, if you look at plane breaks speed record. There was a plane recently out of the north, I think. So here, how a British Airlines once flew 825. So when you realize that the Dreamliner 747 ER. So the 747-9 is one that's done with composite materials across the entire plane. It's made for higher temperatures. It's made for higher speed. Now, again, people are like, but that doesn't mean it can go supersonic. No, but it's made special for some reason. And that's, of course, the plane that flies. And let's see if that's correct. If we go here, Qantas, and we see what plane is flying. It is where do you see the plane? Oh, right here, 787-9. There. So it's on the 787-9 Dreamliner, which is what they all take. And it's a special plane. It's made for a special reason. So again, you can think what you want. I'll think what I want. I can come to my own conclusions. All the evidence is out there for us. The things go in a circle. There's no undersea cables. There's no cruises in the south. It's like no man's land down there. We lost MH370 in the south. You start going through all these things and it leads you to the conclusion that, you know what? All this makes sense on a flat earth that has a larger south. That's why there's no planes that really go on these long distance trips in the south. There's that one. But again, if they put the correct kind of plane on it, even the pilots don't need to know. Everything is done through flight software. If you tell the plane, hey, here's your takeoff, you need to get there at a certain time, the plane knows how fast to go. The plane knows what flight level to go to get the best winds. That's another thing I should bring up because people always say it. Like, yeah, but Jaron, your winds only go one direction. And that's not true either. If you go to Bob's Winds, and here's the reason why they don't tell us these things. If you go here, like I said, all we can find is 2 flight levels. One at 250 HPA, which is about, I think it's like 26,000 feet, maybe it's 30,000 feet. And 70 is like 45,000 feet. So everything in between here is all the different flight levels. And we've seen before where the wind goes the other direction. So don't just think because these winds are circling this way that it means that there's no winds. In fact, you can see these ones right here going that way. So the plane that's flying from Santiago back to Sydney is able to catch winds going that way, even though this flight takes much longer. So I think it's usually like 14 or 15 hours. Let's go see. So this is the one, Sydney to Auckland. No, we don't want that one. We want Santiago to Sydney. Correct. It is, yeah. So you'll see here, they left 8:09 ago, and they still have 6:17 left to go. So that's a total of 14 and a half hours. So already we added two hours to this flight, which again, this disproves that this has anything to do with the globe proof or its globe evidence. It's not. Think about what I just said. So this plane going in this direction is going for 14 and a half hours. So why would it be that the other plane going this way is only doing 12 hours? What would possibly be the reason for that? Remember, the globe is spinning that way too? So it should never be. This flight should take shorter than the one going the direction the Earth's spinning. But that's another point for another day. If this plane is taking 2.5 hours longer, it's because the other plane is catching the jet streams. But if the other plane is catching the jet streams, then why is it going so freaking slow? The answer is it's going much further. The distance from Sydney to Santiago is probably about 10,000 miles, maybe 11. So that's about 3,000 to 4,000 miles more. Again, that's my claim. That's not saying Flat Earth believes that. That's what I believe. I believe it's about, if we go to this, let's get out of these, close that. I didn't mean to close the whole thing. Whatever. But if you think of the Flat Earth, that distance is about, it's a lot longer than what it looks like on a globe, but it's still only about 10,000 miles on a flat Earth. And here's the problem. Everybody believes everything they were told about GPS. They believe that since we have GPS, all the distances are known. No, all the distances are set, but it doesn't mean that they're known. Okay? Meaning that if the equator on the Earth is 21,000 miles, how do you think we would know that? You wouldn't. Even that's 4,000 miles less than they tell us, right? It's 25,901 we're told, or 24,901, and I'm saying it could be 21,000. You would have no way of knowing. And this is where humans think they're so much more smart than they are. Like, oh, I would have figured that out. Pilots would figure. You'd never know. You'd never know. Especially because the equator crosses this huge piece of land, of water here. You can't circumnavigate in the north. We know that, right? Because you're going to hit land. So there's really only the south to circumnavigate, so they can get away with really poor miles per hour records. The guy who has the record, the Catharsis 2, for circumnavigating Antarctica, when you do the math, it comes back that he was doing 4 knots. 4 knots, and he broke a record. Let me tell you the equivalent of this. It'd be the equivalent of me going out on some racetrack in my car, doing the race and getting back, and you guys are like, oh, Jaron broke the world record. You're like, yeah, he just did a 100-mile circle and he broke the record. They'd be like, sweet, how fast was he going? They'd be like, 14 miles per hour. You'd be like, what? 14 miles per hour. Well, he broke the record, but going 14 miles per hour, the car goes 140. Yeah, but he only needed to do 14. That's the equivalent of what they do on the Vendée Globe. Their record is 4 knots. Go look up the type of boat the Catharsis 2 is. That boat does 35 knots. So what is the problem? And again, these guys don't say anything. I don't know why. You wouldn't know where you're at out in the ocean. We should know that. You wouldn't have a clue which way you're going out in the ocean. But you should be able to get back and be like, I was doing more than 4 knots. Nope, sir. Sorry, we did the math and you came back. Well, the problem with that is that they're saying the Earth is only like 11, or I think it's like 12,000. Well, no, at the place they do that race, it's like 15,000 miles, I think. So if you do 100 days, and remember, they don't stop racing. There's, multiple people on these boats. So if you did 100 days times 24 hours is a total of 2,400 hours. And if you do 15,000 miles in 2,400 hours equals, okay, so 6.25 miles per hour. So my math is off there as far as that. It must be, whatever it is, it comes out to 4. So it's probably even less, 13,000 miles or something. But we know that this is not, the boat is going, what, 1/5 of its top speed? Why would it do that? Doesn't make any sense. Instead, if we take the 55 or so thousand miles that we think that ice wall is, divide that by the amount of time it took them in 2,400 hours, and we get 22.91. Which one makes more sense to you? Oh yeah, the boat that has the record is going nearly its top speed, or the boat that has the record goes 1/5 of its top speed. But this is the kind of stupidity we got to deal with, because I can say that, nobody cares. Nobody bats an eye. Nobody worries about it. But Jaron's an idiot. The globe can't be false. It's too big of a lie. Well, why do all these things not work? Why is there no cruises from South America to New Zealand or to Australia? Why is there no cruises that go along the coast of Antarctica for everybody to see the Antarctic wall as you go around it? Why are these things don't exist? Why is there no direct cruise across the Southern Ocean? I'll tell you why. Because it's going to get there way late. Way late. It's going to take about 13 days or 14 days to go from Sydney to Santiago on a globe. But it's going to take about 22 days to go that distance on a flat Earth. So isn't it surprising that there's no such thing as that? And their excuse is, well, nobody wants to be on a cruise for so long. Yeah, right. People do like 60-day cruises. Stop lying to yourself. It looks foolish. You look like an idiot. This is a problem. And if you want to find a boat, find a cruise ship or something, and let's charter it to go across the Southern Ocean. Let's see whether it takes them 23 days or if they can do it in 14. Again, that's at a 20 mile per hour boat. Here's why boats are better than planes, because the planes get up in the jet stream. And if the planes are in that jet stream going 250 miles per hour, we won't know it in the boat, and there's no way to really tell that distance is further. Just so you know, because somebody said before, you want to prove flat Earth, Jaron, all you need to do is show the ground speed of this plane is 12 or 1,500 miles per hour. That's stupid. This plane should be going much faster with the thing. But the problem is that when you look at the speed that it's going, which is right here, 476, right? This is based off of the ground speed, which where do you think we get that from? Where's the distance come? We know distance is speed. We know that distance is speed over time. And where do you think that they're getting the distance from? The distance is coming from GPS. The distance is coming from what they've mapped out the Earth to be. So you're never going to see a huge speed here, underground speed, because this is basing it off of GPS, which GPS has been cooked to hide the flat Earth, in my mind. So this is why you're not going to see that. But back when this used to show, and I could go back and show you videos where I was able to move this little dial and catch it, like when it came out of here, came out of these dead zones, it would often show over 1,000 miles per hour true airspeed. Okay, now they took that away. And again, it looks like you can purchase an upgraded package. If you do, every other plane will show you its true airspeed, indicated airspeed, vertical airspeed, GPS, but it will not show you in the southern flights. Why? Again, how many things do you need to lean towards the flat Earth until you're like, okay, this needs some looking into? It's not.